Welcome to Wrexham. Jacques Ekomié, the Gabonese international, has put pen to paper to sign for Wrexham Football Club on a long-term contract for a fee in the region of £8 million from Ligue 1 side Angers. A massive signing for Wrexham. It answers all of our prayers of wanting another left wing back into the Wrexham system and coming into this starting lineup to add depth and quality down that left hand side. And like I said, this has more than answered our calls for that. Today we're going to be taking a look at our latest recruit, the 23-year-old, what this means going forward for Wrexham in terms of potential transfer strategies, a high resale value, him as a defender, what he can bring to that left hand side for Wrexham, his key attributes, and why he's a bit different from what we're used to down that left hand flank. So before we get going in today's video, if you do enjoy this Wrexham transfer content, of course, we will be coming to the end of the transfer content in the next couple of days. So if you have enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, make sure to get down there as well and click the red subscribe button if you've enjoyed all of this content. If you want to keep up to date with more Wrexham Afc content over the course of the 26-27 season, it's free to do so. Let me know your thoughts as well at the end of the video on this signing. And without further ado, let's get taking a look at Ekomié's career today. So Ekomié did progress at Bordeaux, of course, a well-renowned French side who have suffered a bit of a toxic last couple of years, but he did progress at Bordeaux B, where he made a number of very good performances for their B team and then got that call up to the first team. He accumulated 35 appearances for the men's side at Bordeaux, and in his final season he more than became a well-established fullback, playing 25 times in League 2, getting that good move to Angers and just really getting his profile up, getting his CV up after a very good first season in men's football. Now at the time, Lens as well in France were rivaling Angers for the signing of Ekomié, but Angers won the race after the collapsing of Bordeaux. Of course, they dropped down a couple of divisions, they lost their professional status, so Ekomié joined Angers and had a really good spell at them. He joined in 2024, he became a very established fullback at the top tier of French football, something that I think is very difficult at the time. I think he was 21 years old, thrown in the deep end, of course, had some slight experience in men's football, but was chucked in the deep end, really developed as a fullback, and I think really took it into his own to become, a really strong left back. His strength is said to be one of his main attributes, but despite only just turning 23, he's got a lot of experience under his belt. He's played 55 times over the past 2 seasons, I think it is, and just like I said, really developed into a fullback that has gained European interest over the past couple of seasons. If we are looking at what his performances did bring to the transfer side of things, it's been publicly made available that Real Betis over in Spain, Hoffenheim, Lille, Frankfurt, all big clubs in European football that were chasing Ekomié, as he had some really promising performances, and we beat Bundesliga side Hamburg to secure his services up in North Wales, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Wrexham outbidding and offering a better financial package to player, agent, etc. and club to secure the services of a really promising fullback, which I think Wrexham are going to come to really appreciate in future years, as there's no better place and I think there's no better league, in my opinion, to develop than in the Championship, League 1, the Premier League, etc. It's such a competitive league, and if you can really adapt to that and really just impress in a very tough league where you're playing a grueling 46 games a season, it's going to get your stocks incredibly high and it's going to increase your transfer value by a couple of £1 million, and I think that's what Wrexham are hoping to make happen in the deal of Ekomié. And I think if we are looking at him himself, his performances have been well appreciated by his country. He's got experience on the international stage for Gabon. He's been capped 18 times, represented them in the infamous AFCON 2025, which was one of the craziest tournaments we've ever seen in international football. So that valuable experience on the international stage for a 23-year-old fullback is going to do him the world of good coming into a very competitive league. So if we are looking at the type of player that Ekomié is and the type of fullback that Wrexham are bringing into this system, it's definitely an interesting one. You might have seen on social media outlets out there, scout reports, etc. on Ekomié, because he doesn't fit the bill of what Wrexham are used to down that left hand side and on the right hand side as well. He doesn't follow the theme of the wing backs that Phil Parkinson likes to have in his squad. If we are looking at the likes of George Thomason, Danny Imre, Kabore as well is set to be announced, Ryan Longman, they're all players that base their game off the quality in the final stage, and I think that is something that Wrexham have sort of been hit with in the past couple of seasons and sort of held us back in terms of our goals conceded, especially in the Championship last year. I think it was the most goals that a 7th place side had conceded in the Championship for the past 15 years, and I think a big part to play in that was the fact fact that we had wing-backs who were so heavily in the final third that didn't really have that good defensive side to their game. You're looking at George Thomason, so heavily involved, a bomber down that left-hand side, putting those crosses into the box, a couple of goals here and there. We saw Issa Kabore as well, 9 assists, and I think the main thing that has separated them from becoming a top-tier fullback is the defensive side to their game. Whereas if we're looking at Ekomié, his game is based off heavily defending opposed to his attacking play, which I think is only going to benefit us because it adds a new dimension going back. Of course, we want these players that are going to add defensive solidity, that are going to get our goals conceded from mid-60s to potentially mid-40s, late 40s. So I think it is a bonus and a coup that we have been able to get a solid defensive player in Ekomié into the side. And in fact, there's no stats, there's no clips out there that are backing up his role in the final third as being important for Angers over the past couple of seasons. His game is heavily based on power, speed and his strong defensive attributes. Those defensive attributes can be more than seen in his statistics, and we can see that he's very strong in duels, whether it's an aerial duel, whether it's a ground duel, his interceptions, his ability in 1v1 situations. You've seen the clips on social media by now. He is incredible in 1v1 situations and scenarios. When he's coming up against the winger, his main aim in that 90 minutes is to lock him down, shut him out for the whole game, and he's more than done that on numerous occasions. If we're looking at the statistics, 131 duels won, 60 tackles, 31 interceptions, 107 ball recoveries and 150 defensive contributions, with Angers finishing 13th in Ligue 1 last season. He was always going to be busy. Angers aren't a team that are going to be competing in the top 7. They're not a side that is going to have really high ambitions, so of course it was obvious that Ekomié was going to have a lot to do down that left hand side, and I think it's fair to say at 23 years old he more than held his own against some of the best players in world football who would have been playing on that right hand side. So it's the defensive solidity that Wrexham fans have been crying out for from the fullbacks, and with the signings of Danny Imre, Kabore coming in, of course, two very heavily based fullbacks that like to get forward, bringing Ekomié in, who is a very strong defensive option, is only going to do us the world of good. And I think if you are looking down that left hand side last season, it was George Thomason who played there primarily. Of course, we saw Libby Kakachi here and there, but we know the situation with Kakachi. So I think in terms of Thomason, he came into this side and came into the club as a central midfielder from Bolton Wanderers. We then got hit with that unfortunate situation of Kakachi being consistently injured, and Ryan Longman wasn't too comfortable down that left hand side. So George Thomason took that U-turn, became a left wing back in an unnatural role, and I think it's fair to say that he did incredibly well. But there were times, and I think there has been times this season, where Wrexham really need to get someone who is good defensively into the role of the left wing back spot, and we need someone whose bread and butter is just to win those tackles, win those 50-50, shut out the wing play, and I'm more than confident that we're going to get that from Ekomié this season. He is one that just loves to be involved. People say it, they shouldn't like to be a defender, but Ekomié is a very strong defensive asset, and I think we'll come to appreciate, like I said earlier, the decision of getting him through the door, really chasing Angers, really chasing the agent, the president of Angers, who was publicly stating that Wrexham have put in a couple of bids for him. Of course, we saw that first bid, I think of £4.3 million, that was rejected. Wrexham have nearly doubled their bid to get Ekomié into the club. It's around £8 million mark that Wrexham have signed the 23-year-old Gabonese international for. But again, I think we've seen the signings of Anthony Patterson for £8 million, Imre £5 million. It isn't a lot of money for a player that has such rich experience in a very top league in European football, one of the top 5 leagues in European football, and someone that could potentially have a high resale value as we go into the future years ahead in the Championship and potentially in the Premier League. So it's an excellent signing with huge potential, and I think the main thing to note in this as well, I think Angers have a couple of bonuses in the deal, so whether it's going to be promotions, appearances, goals, etc., I think there could be a couple of £1 million added onto this signing, and of course they have also added on a percentage sell-on clause. We're unaware what the percentage sell-on clause is yet, but it's likely to be in the region of maybe 15%, 20%, so it's not ideal. We've seen that with Manchester City, selling us Callum Doyle, they have a £15 million buyback clause, but in this day and age, if you're a club letting a young player go to a club that's of a similar ambition, you're going to put all of these clauses in to get the best financial package possible, which is understandable. He's our player now, of course. We're not going to think that far ahead because we don't want to be losing him in the next 1 or 2 seasons. It's a long-term contract, it's a high transfer fee, and I'm sure he's more than worth it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you happy with the signing of Jacques Ekomié from Angers over in France? I mean, it couldn't get any better than this. this. We saw Michael Williamson say they were targeting these players late on in the transfer window, and do you know what? I've got to hold my hands up and say he's proved me wrong, because I didn't think we'd get a big bit of business done like this in the rest of the transfer window. So we've put our money where our mouth is. We've worked hard in negotiations, of course, coming up against a team like Hamburg, who can offer that Bundesliga football to him, a completely different aspect in his career. So yeah, big well done to everyone involved in this signing, and big well done to everyone for getting it done across the line. So if you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like and make sure to subscribe as well. Turn the notification bell on so you're notified every time a new video does come out onto the channel. There'll be plenty to come over the course of the 26-27 season. Make sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below on Ekomié coming into the club, and of course we're bound to see Issa Kabore come in as well for £2 million from Manchester City. So 2 wing-backs coming in late on in the transfer window. I cannot complain at all. Until the next one, take care guys. Up the Championship Reds.